Hi, this is Era SundbomA with Podcast Reflection 4, talking about breathing deeply and using your best voice. Previously, in week 1, we heard Patty Dobrovolsky speak about envisioning change and drawing the picture of what you envision to be. And then in week 2, we heard from Herminia Ibarra about why leadership feels awkward and how we can practice leadership traits so that we can have a more natural feel of leadership. In week 3, we talked about habits and motivations using the 4 tendencies framework developed by Gretchen Rubin. And this week, we will talk about your amazing persuasive voice. This week, I was pretty busy with this physical activity. I decided this morning that I needed to go take some pictures around campus. So I listened to my podcast. I mapped the run, which is fun. All you runners out there are doing great, but I don't run. However, I did walk a mile this morning, and I had my Pokemon Go eggs a-hatching. And then also checked on the bees, so I got a lot done in that 30 minutes this morning. I also found an interesting TED Talk that exercise is the most transformative thing that you can do for your brain, and that's by Wendy Suzuki. Exercise has an immediate positive benefit for your brain and helps your mood and your focus. Additionally, it can help you avoid many diseases in the future. This week, I listened to a podcast from Ida Olson, who is a speech coach to the stars, a speech language pathologist, and you can find a lot of her information on conveyclearly.com. She helps people to train their voices to be amazing and persuasive. So she has shared in this podcast several tips for finding that persuasive voice. Some key points she made included communication that takes effort. She said she was surprised when she first started in her career, and most of her clients are actually already good communicators and are seeking ways to become better communicators when handling anxious or stressful situations. 2 success factors are the desire to improve communication, and that if somebody doesn't truly want to improve their communication, it won't happen. And secondly, people need to learn how to relax, how to open their throat and relax their muscles so that they can have a more relaxing intonation in their voice. People have evolved, but we still have a fight or flight reflex. And when faced with anxiety, our throat closes and our voice quality suffers. This can make your voice strident or high-pitched, which is definitely not soothing. So what can we do about this? Relaxation techniques are needed for effective communication. Breathing deeply is the first thing that we can do. As we breathe in, we let our voice ride out on the sound through an open throat, and it sounds a lot better to the listening ear. We can practice tensing and releasing exercises to relax our muscles and provide a better mindset for communication. We can listen to hear and listen to make sure that we are listening to understand and not just to respond. She suggests recording yourself to identify problem areas and practice. A somewhat funny thing that she mentions is you can go on social media and look up people who hate their voices. Many people don't like the way they sound. When you listen to your recorded voice, it sounds different than when you hear it actually coming out of your mouth. So, learning to use a soothing, calming voice is important. You need to start small, so you pick one thing, and her example was to fix your voicemail voice first. So you practice that and practice it, and finally you'll conquer that and your voicemails will sound better. She also suggests to make the first recording the absolute worst so that you have a lot of room for improvement and you can see what is actually happening with your voice. There's a free ebook available, 9 Secret Steps to Influencing Others, and some points from that book in this podcast conversation is that a leader's presence is felt by everyone. So leaders need to be aware of the vibes that they're giving off in a meeting or whatever. They need to pay attention to their face and to their body language and to their voice intonation. Persuasion is also lost when people don't understand what you are saying. So if you're trying to convince somebody of something, you need to make sure that they truly understand what you're talking about. And then the podcast host brought up when communicating, you should have 3 major points, no more, because you get too lost in the details, and 3 major points will really help convey a clear and concise message. So moving on to my tech tip, I want to share a resource that I actually created this week that will help publishing and creating online multimedia presentations. So this is something that we are asking teachers and students to do pretty often these days. So I'm hoping that this resource would help. North Carolina Wesleyan College Teaching and Learning Center's webpage now has a multimedia presentation guide that has curated information about creating multimedia presentations online. Now, we're using these in our online classes so that we can have students present in an online environment. The students sometimes have problems figuring out how to effectively create and share these presentations. So I have created this website in the hopes that it would allow them to figure out some different methods of completing these assignments. As you can see, there's several different methods that they can choose for creating the online presentations. And then down at the bottom, there's a YouTube help video that tells them how they can upload to YouTube to share that in an online environment. I'm also going to create a video about how I personally use presentation and screencast software to create presentations and get them on the internet where they can be shared easily via link. I want to thank you for joining me today, and I look forward to more podcasts next week. Have a wonderful day.